welcome back. So a few weeks ago, discovered that my Fuji X-H1 has developed an electrical fault in its battery system. It shows the battery plugged in, but it shows that the battery has no charge. So, and usually one electrical fault is typically followed by more. So I decided it was time to replace that camera. What I had planned on doing was upgrading to a Fuji X-H2 because of all the glass that I have for the X-H1. But my wife talked me into moving to a full frame camera. So I did a lot of research, and what I settled on was this. This is the Lumix S1R II. And there's some significant reasons why I picked this camera. For starters, AI autofocus, which I kind of questioned how good it worked. I no longer question how good it works. It actually works really well. It does have, interestingly, eye tracking autofocus. Now, for me, for the moment, I can't use that particular feature because I have no lens in my left eye. And for those of you who don't know, I had a vitrectomy followed by an eye infection back in August on my left eye for a retinal detachment. Anyway, the eye tracking autofocus does require that both of your eyes are functioning, and because it tracks both of your pupils. So where you look is where the camera focuses. So sadly, at least for the time being, I can't use that until I have some of my future surgeries done. But it does have it. And it shows up as two ellipses in the viewfinder or on the back viewfinder. And maybe I'll show that to you later. Some of the other reasons why I picked this camera. So it has a 44 megapixel sensor, but it's a single sensor. It is backside illuminated, but it's not a stacked sensor. And that is interesting. So obviously Panasonic has made significant improvements to chip readout, and so they don't need a stacked sensor, which really creates kind of a leap forward in sensor technology. And kudos to Panasonic on that. And that really does kind of open the door to moving cameras, even on the new stack sensors, potentially, 120 megapixel with a stack sensor. And then using the pixel shift technology, potentially moving that up into the 400 megapixel category. It could be very interesting. So there's that. Now this camera is a hybrid camera. It is designed in a very interesting way for both video and still photography. And the reason I say it's interesting is because it literally has physical separation between those two modes. And you can lock it down to be a stills only, or you can log it down to be video if you so choose. The camera does have a function lock feature, and you know, it's all good stuff. I am probably only going to generally use it as a stills camera, but that feature is there. And the video features on the camera are top notch. To the point, it's generally compared to the Sony S1R Mark II. So it's quite capable. 8K open gate is supposedly coming, or it might have even been released in the latest firmware. I haven't double checked that. Again, not a video shooter. But on the still side, what I do find interesting is you can apply the Vlog profiles to your still images, and then get applied in camera. So that's interesting. I don't think we've seen that before. You know, and to be fair, I have paired this with the Panasonic S Pro 50mm f1.4 lens. And going back to the sensor, an interesting thing about this camera and lens combination, I'm sure, is there are times where it produces images that feel very much like a medium format image, and that's really awesome. So the camera is feature rich. Now, that being said, this suffers, and I think all the Japanese cameras suffer the same issue. The menus are terrible. So I needed to turn off the eye tracking autofocus, and I'm still not sure if I actually did or not, but I did get zone focusing turned on, so I'm hoping that it turned off the eye tracking autofocus. But the menus are so bad, I'm not even sure about that. So the menus are 5-6 levels deep. And I get it. I understand why this camera requires that kind of level of menus, but yeah, I really hate the menus on this camera. So shooting experience wise, I think, and this camera has 5 on the custom dial, 5 settings. I think that's going to become very important for me on this camera. The Fuji camera, the X-H1, you know, it had complicated menus. This takes it to a whole new level. So I think sitting with a book, configuring the camera in the various settings, and saving to those custom functions on the dial is going to become important. More important than it had been previously. Again, you know, the whole focusing thing, that's going through the focusing settings is definitely going to be interesting. Some other things that I do like about this camera, which oddly benefits one of the things that benefits the video side of this camera does not seem to benefit the still side, which is somewhat confusing to me. This camera uses has a CF Express card slot and an SD card slot. So you would think that the buffer on this camera would handle a lot more continuous shooting than it does. So you get about 2 seconds of continuous shooting, no matter if you're shooting JPEG, RAW, or both. So that's somewhat disappointing. But I do suspect that this camera does suffer a little bit from compromises. It has a lot. I will say ergonomically, I do like the camera a great deal. The grip, I have kind of big hands. The grip is nice and solid. The next feature, which is probably one of the most important ones for me, 8 stops of stabilization. My hands shake pretty significantly. So that's really important, and it seems to work really well. I know people have reported being able to shoot long exposure, 2 seconds, handheld, due to that stabilization. That's really impressive, and it's really important for me. You know, it is both a highly impressive camera, and it's, of course, Panasonic's flagship camera, so it should be impressive. But what makes this even more impressive is right now, brand new, this camera is $3,300. And it's being compared to Sony S1R Mark II cameras. That's like a $7,000 to $9,000 camera body. That's a significant price difference. So now, of course, I bought this used. I paid $2,500 for this camera. I bought the lens used. I got essentially the lens was $1,200. Like new condition on both the camera and the lens. So overall, I probably got like $1,500 off of buying this kit brand new. I bought the camera through MPB. Would have bought it through KEH, but KEH was slightly more expensive for a camera that probably had a little more use on it. I got this camera. It came with the box and all the accessories. According to the camera, it only had 60 pictures taken on it. Very happy. So a couple of other aspects of this camera that are potentially important, particularly given where I live, lots of sand and wind in the area. So this camera has a protective shutter curtain that's made out of carbon fiber. I have to go in and double check and make sure that that feature is enabled. And what that means is I don't have to worry so much about when I change lenses about dust or sand getting into the sensor area. So that's really nice. But I'm probably still going to practice what I did on the X-H1, which is I try not to change lenses outside in the wind. And for that fact, right now, I only have the one lens, the 50mm f1.4. And I'm torn as to what the next lens is going to be for this camera. Now, the other aspect and another reason I picked this particular camera is it belongs in the Leica L-mount Alliance. So any of the L-mount lenses from Leica or Sigma or Panasonic work on this camera, and the autofocus works. It has been confirmed that Leica is going to take this sensor and introduce an SL model camera using the sensor. And I hope they apply their engineering skills, and I'm sure they will, on the menu system. And that would actually be something very interesting to see. Because if they can come up with and apply their simplified and easy to navigate the system and apply it to a camera with this kind of capabilities, that would actually be very awesome. And to be fair, I actually was considering getting an SL2 or an SL3 instead of this camera. But given the price difference, I went with this particular camera. Now, I did notice apparently Viltrox is starting to make lenses for this camera, as is 7 Artisans and TT Artisans. So that opens up another world, and I have liked the 7 Artisans and TT Artisans lenses, and I do like the Viltrox lenses. Of course, some of the differences there is Viltrox makes the autofocus lenses, where the TT Artisans and the 7 Artisans lenses tend to be manual focus. So anyway, I do kind of have a love-hate relationship with this camera already. But I also know that I can overcome the parts that I really don't like, for my purposes anyway. Oh, and one other thing on this camera was a feature that I did not expect, and that is it actually has a timer on the dial, on an exterior dial. That's the first time I've seen that. So if I put the camera on a tripod and I set it to the timer function, yeah, you don't need a remote shutter release. But anyway, some other tech that I'll mention that I know exists for this camera, but I'll probably never use, is there's a 24-bit audio component, physical component, that can be used with this camera. So if you're really into doing the video recording and you want to go to audio, this completely supports that. The eye autofocus, face autofocus works great. I actually saw a video from Kai Wong and the other guy. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, they were out and they used this camera and took pictures of a drone they were flying, and the camera nailed the focus on the drone. So again, the autofocus system is just amazing. So anyway, that's my new camera body. So it will be the new workhorse. Again, 44 megapixel image shift gets you 177 megapixel image. Really nice autofocus. Oh, and for those of you who are more interested in the video features, this camera does have a cooling system, active cooling system. It has vents. It has a fan. And it is, by all measures, probably one of the top hybrid video shooting cameras on the market today. That's not why I bought it, but it's definitely a strong option. And another thing that I did not take into account. So it has the flippy screen. But it also, if you're a vlogger, it's a full flippy tilty screen. And if you're somebody who likes to protect your LCD screen, you can actually have the screen fold in against the back of the camera so that screen's not exposed, and you can shoot that way. And just use the EVF. So extremely versatile. Wish all cameras had that kind of screen on it. Of course, video out, microphone in, USB-C connection, power connection here on this side, SD card, CF Express are on this side. It does have a grip that you can buy for it. This camera's, particularly with this lens, is already kind of heavy. I believe it's around 750 grams, so almost a kilogram. Now it is lighter than the original S1R, but it's still a pretty heavy camera. This isn't quite what my Canon 1DS Mark II weighed, but it's pretty close. This lens is also very heavy, but it is, of course, the Pro lens, so and I might get the, I think it's a 24-70 Pro lens zoom. That might be the next lens that I get for this. But I think for a while I'm just going to shoot with the 50mm. So, and I'll just have to zoom with my feet. Anyway, I know this video is getting kind of long, so I'll wrap it up. Really do like the camera. Really do hate the menu system. But everything else on the camera I really enjoy. And yeah, so I don't know if you're watching the new series on my Masters of Photography class, but this will be the camera that I will be using to shoot the photos in those videos, and any new professional work. If I'm not using my Hasselblad, it will be this camera. So anyway, I hope you appreciated the video. Would like it if you could like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And have a great week. We'll see you next week. And bye.